Welcome to my presentation for the IT 241 final project, Security Awareness Program. My name is Tim Galvin and I will be conducting this training today. So, General Electric is a titan of industry spanning 125 years of multinational research, development, and manufacturing. It was created by Thomas Edison in 1892 with his purchase and merger of the Thomas Houston Company. General Electric now spans 10 divisions, generating more than $79 billion in revenue in 2020. So why do we need awareness? Well, security is everyone's business, and cybersecurity is more necessary now than ever before because the world has come to realize that data has value. While there is some question between perceived and actual value, it is generally agreed that data has value. And while data has value, it is necessary to protect it. That data's value, which is ultimately subjective in nature, holds no value if left open for anyone to see, use, or misuse. Thus, we must secure it because we only leave crumbs for the ants, not the whole cookie. But simply putting a lock on something only keeps an honest man honest. To succeed in protecting the company's assets, it is important to do more than just attempt to mitigate against theft by using a lock. It is critically important to foster an awareness of the two areas of concern in the human factors of cybersecurity. Alright, so because security is in everybody's business and this is a training, today's topics are going to include the unintentional human error, malicious human behaviors, some organizational factors that can affect things, and we're going to come to a conclusion at the end. If this was a real training done for the Exeter Police Department where I work, at the end there would be a link to a quiz and you would have to go and do it and print it for me. So let's talk about unintentional human errors, or really the things not to do. So, have you ever made a mistake? Because I have. I make them every day when I go a little too fast, just a little bit too fast on the road. The thing about mistakes is that they are not confined to everyday driving, right? Mistakes are things we often do unintentionally without thinking about them, but they are still wrong. So, don't let anyone tell you they don't make mistakes, because we all make them. And mistakes are what an unintentional human error is. In cybersecurity, the most dangerous unintentional human errors are mistakes. The problem is these mistakes could potentially cost us everything. It could cause unrepairable damage to the company, our reputation, our future business prospects, and ultimately permanently shutter us. These mistakes occur because humans are curious. And while mistakes are inevitable, we must work to create an environment where they are minimized through awareness training and good habits about our data security. And that is the number one thing, the most important things we can do. Alright, so human cognitive factors. What influences unintentional human error? And this is a loaded question, okay? As the previous slide stated, curiosity is a reason. Poor situational awareness, not thinking about what's going on. Lack of training. Boredom. Lack of risk perception. These are human cognitive factors that determine whether or not we screw things up. If we do the same thing every single day, we're going to screw it up. So these reasons are why we make mistakes, why we open emails from people we don't know or weren't expecting and click on links embedded in photos and embedded photos when we know that we shouldn't. And when we begin to make these mistakes, we risk losing control of our greatest asset, and that is our data. Without our data, we will fail. Security of that data must be everyone's business, and mistakes must be avoided. Now, along with human cognitive behaviors, okay, there are psychosocial and or sociocultural factors that can occur, okay? These are basically habits. And these habits can cause significant problems, such as using social media on our computers, which can create pathways for malware to spread quickly. Discussing confidential company business with people not from the company, business, including your friends and family and your significant others. It can be sharing credentials, which is a huge no-no, but it happens. And lastly, people don't log out. That one's covered by the camera. Okay, so people forget to log out of their terminals when we leave. And we even have that problem at the PD with the detectives upstairs, and somebody has to go and log them out. So what can we do to mitigate risk? There are many ways to mitigate the risk of unintentional errors. Unfortunately, reducing the risk is the best we can do because to err is human. I don't want to be fatalistic about these things. While these mistakes are costly and they can be catastrophic, there are 3 things that we can do to help ourselves and be better. So we can use software and automation specifically designed to prevent data breaches caused by phishing, ransomware, malware, social engineering, and other events. This would include access controls to data and systems, encryption, and more. We can use education, such as the security awareness training you are now taking. Education is probably the number 2 thing to do after setting up a good automation and software system. And lastly, expect to be tested. You're going to be tested in the real world, and eventually you're going to be tested by your IT department. Testing is the best way to make sure everyone stays on their toes, and those who pass should be rewarded. Those who fail need to do it again. Now, after unintentional human behaviors, there's also malicious. And everyone can easily agree that there are bad people in the world. And they are more than just the boogeyman under the bed. These are bad actors with malicious intent, which means they want to do bad things. And they could be current employees. They could be former employees, customers or contractors, and of course the one you hear the most about, hackers. Now, they're all attempting to attack our information systems, which is what this malicious behavior's definition is. And once they gain access to our systems, they want to spy on what we are doing, steal what we are doing, and because all that information that we research, plan, manufacture, service, execute, and more has a definitive value. So, there are some human cognitive behaviors with malicious bad actors that we should be aware of. And even while in this situation, we're talking about them being pointed at data theft, okay? But nearly 50% of our employees, and not just our employees, worldwide, in an anonymous survey, admitted to data theft. This is very bad. Another malicious behavior is the use of unapproved applications on computer systems. I mean, don't use Spotify, okay? Another malicious behavior is the unauthorized device access to our network. Please do not use USB drives, plug your cell phone into your laptop, use your home printer, or any of those things on company devices. Okay? Don't. So let's talk about some psychosocial and social cultural factors that lead us to screw things up here. Now, there are some simple and effective ways to help prevent these problems. These include... Hey, that wasn't supposed to happen yet. Oh, okay. So why do people do these things? You might as well ask why, because why does anybody do anything? Well, some of the best understood reasons include money. Money, yes, we all like money. Some people are paid to do these things, even current employees. Some of it's ideology, which is they may be opposed to the direction of the company, the function of the company, or what we're trying to accomplish as a company. This goes hand in hand with conscience. They believe the company is corrupt or doing something harmful and deserves to be punished. And ultimately, a lot of these wrap up as ego. They want to prove a point about something and they want to feel important. So, altogether, this acronym is known as MICE, and it is pretty much a good one for all of human behavior. So what we must do? Well, we must be seen as proactive to prevent these problems. If we're not to lose customers, irreplaceable partners, vendors, and contractors, and the trust of the public or governments that we contract with, we need to make some things. So we're going to make use of that software and automated defenses. Okay, these include access controls, firewalls, and more. We're going to use unique credentials with strong passwords and rotating passwords. two-step authorization, two-factor authorization when appropriate. Okay, we're going to use transaction logs to make sure that we do the things that we need to do or locate where there are problems. And we're going to do regular security auditing. Do you need access to these programs, to this system, to this data? We need to be asking that question regularly, such as when we do cybersecurity awareness training. Okay? Now, what else do we need to do? Well, we have to pay attention to our data flow. And there are some other factors affecting the security foundations of GE, and data flow is a big one, and this is the movement of data through a system comprised of hardware, software, firmware, or any combination of these things. They can cause a real headache, okay? And we need to be especially careful of public networks, which we know have poor security, and if we need to use them, we'll require the use of an extremely strong VPN to meet the bare security basics that we need. We need to make sure we encrypt data coming and going, especially when other tasks need to be done, but they are mandatory and it is time consuming, and we need to make sure it is consistent. Lastly, data flows can be harmed through the unauthorized use of applications or corrupt applications, which means we will need to frequently scan for malware, make sure updates for the software we do use are regularly done, and we need to make sure that you, the user, cooperate in keeping unapproved applications off of company machines. Another issue is our work setting. Great care must also be given to our work setting. We must always have an eye on the future and be sure that we do not fall in the trap of having a static network setting. If we are not always updating, adapting, and improving, then we will give people time to analyze our systems and network settings and then exploit them. Whatever it takes attitude needs to be what we do here, and maintain our security systems. A log history must also be maintained to identify consistent threats, patterns of poor behavior, and counter them effectively. Antivirus and anti-malware software must be installed on all machines as soon as they come into the building and before they are issued to any employees for use and before any other software is loaded on the machines. Finally, software updates are mandatory. They cannot be ignored, they cannot be forgotten, they cannot be delayed. They have to happen. They're there for a reason. Okay? So we're going to have to make planning and controls to deal with this issue. And nothing happens in a vacuum. System security is and shall be an ongoing cat and mouse process, and it must have the full support of the executive all the way down to the line employee with consistent application to give us the best possible chance. That success shall require audits of personnel and processes, internal controls on user accounts, standardized rights packages, and unique credentialing, system monitoring for errors and attacks, awareness training, such as what you're doing, and then finally testing to make sure that we are consistent, and, if necessary, negative discipline. So to recap, remember that when in doubt, ask. Never install anything without permission. That your account is for you alone and no one else. Don't click on any emails or photos. It's a very bad idea. You will be tested. And don't plug anything into the network without permission. Security is the job of anyone. And it needs to be something that we are all making the best habits of daily. The need for security is an awareness process, and you can prevent mistakes. The first step is to make sure that you are thinking about it. In conclusion, our data is the most valuable thing we have, and we have an absolute imperative to protect it. It would be best if we used a multi-layered security access program including firewalls, antivirus, anti-malware encryption, virtual private networks, rotating passwords, two-factor authentication, access controls, data backups, means testing, and more. Our clients entrust us with this data, and making the choice of deliberate malfeasance by not taking the bare minimum of reasonable precautions to secure that data could mean the end of our company. Data is valuable and we must protect it. Thank you.